Hi, I'm Evan, your host for Wine Couch TV. As you know, each episode on this show is a little bit different. Sometimes we'll focus on specific grapes, sometimes it'll be about food and wine, sometimes it'll even be about cocktails, but this time I'm going to focus in on a region, and that region is the Rhone Valley of France. Now, for all the play that Bordeaux and Burgundy get as the two heralded great wine regions in France for red wine specifically, the Rhone is quietly probably one of my favorites. This area itself, which is relatively old and relatively lengthy, follows the length of the Rhone River, starting in the town of Vienne in the far north, just to the southeast or southwest, I should say, of Burgundy, and continuing all the way down to Avignon, where they have that funny little bridge and they sing that little French song, Sur le pont d'Avignon, you know, all the French kids, never mind. Okay, but anyway, it's a really cool area where you have a lot of wonderful wine made. The north and the south of the Rhone Valley are quite different. In the north, the grape of choice is Syrah, and Syrah reigns supreme for red wines. As you pass Valence and move into the south of Rhone, the grape here changes and it becomes Grenache. Grenache is a little bit fleshier, a little bit softer, but it's blended with a number of different grapes, including the aforementioned Syrah that make up the wines of the north. Now, in the north, all of the wines that are red are based exclusively on Syrah. Blending is not allowed. And in fact, the wine that we'll be tasting is a 100% Syrah wine. As you move further south, Grenache can often be 100% the actual entirety of the wine itself, but oftentimes, as I said before, you will find a little bit of blending, which is what we'll see when we taste the wine from there. So without further ado, let's start tasting. The first wine we have here is from, appropriately, a gentleman named Vincent Paris. It's his 2008 vintage of the Geynale Cornas. Now, Cornas is oftentimes referred to as poor man's Hermitage in the sense that it has all of the great depth and intensity of this very, very famous appellation in the Northern Rhone, but at a fraction of the price, while being a little bit more coarse and a little bit more rustic in personality. The wine here is distinctively peppery and spicy with a lot of dark, dense fruit, just a touch of licorice, and a very sort of smoky type aroma. Ow, packs a lot. The wine has a tremendous amount of extract. It's fairly full-bodied. It has a very gripping tannic structure, which means to say it's sort of gritty in the palate while leaving your mouth just a little bit dry, and carries through that same sort of spicy, peppery quality and that lightly leathery type flavor that I was finding, but I forgot to mention, in the nose itself. Wines from the Northern Rhone, I should say, that are based on styles like this really work best with large slabs of meat. Stews, rich dishes, grilled fare, especially lamb, venison, sausages, and things that have a lot of personality are going to be the way to go. The second wine that we have is from further south. It's from an appellation called Gigondas, and it's the 2006 vintage of Domaine les Pallieres. Now, this is a wine that historically was actually part of just the Côte de Rhone, but the appellation was so well viewed and the wines were so good that they actually petitioned and were kicked up to be their own appellation, Gigondas, several years ago. The wine historically is somewhere around 80% maximum of Grenache, with the remainder being usually Syrah and a number of other grapes. You still do find a lot that are 100%, but this particular one clearly has some Syrah in it, which once again I can tell by that slightly peppery quality. It has a beautiful, rich, round, grapey, jammy character of dark fruit, a little bit of that smokiness, and then just a sort of sweet, violety, blue floral character. Delicious. The palate is very round. It's very fleshy, and that's where the Grenache comes in. You have a lot of texture without a lot of hard tannin, and it's very almost creamy and smooth in the finish, and it actually finishes quite long. This is a dish that's rather a wine that's quite flexible with food. You can do anything from sort of standard picnic fare on a beautiful day. You could actually have it with chicken and veal and pork and sort of milder flavored meats, but it can also probably hang in there as well with, again, milder, less spicy, bold flavors of, again, dishes like lamb and beef, shanks and things like that. But all in all, again, a nice sort of rich, rib-sticking wine. The Rhone Valley is full of great values and great flavors, and it should be a place on your radar screen. So definitely make sure you get to the store next time and go seek out a few bottles of Rhone wine. Before we get out of here today, the word of the week is one that goes back to France and is probably most related to this area, and it is a term called Garrigue. Now, what Garrigue means is essentially it's a catch-all term to pull together those flavors that are slightly smoky, slightly meaty, slightly feral, and slightly savory that encompass this particular style of wine, oftentimes referred to as that sort of combination of bacon fat meets roadkill meets a furnace is kind of what you get thrown in there with, I don't know, some other players to be named later. Anyway, it is that sort of spicy, savory, feral character that Rhone wines in particular are known for. Put that one on for size. Anyway, until I catch you out next again, go out, go to the store, find some fun Rhone wines, and take care.